So I just finished unpacking my last shipment. Unpacking. I got 2 deodorants. And I was thinking about it and just like thinking about this process of what it's been to like find actually a natural deodorant that works. And I have been seeing like quite a few questions come in about just like how to make the switch and or like why deodorant can be like the number one thing to start with to switch from conventional to natural and why you may want to do so. So I just wanted to share with you a few little tips from the inside, things I have learned the hard way, and then just even like the process sometimes of what it takes to make the switch specifically with deodorant. So here's the thing that most people don't realize that I wish more people knew about, that your skin absorbs everything that you put onto it. It's like a living, breathing organism. So everything you put onto it goes inside your body, inside your cells. And that is what your cellular health is made of. So that is also what your immune system is made of. It's like literally everything, all that your genetic material, everything. The thing with deodorant is actually just the placement of it too. So we have like the most lymph nodes. I'm going to just show you my armpit. The most lymph nodes right here, especially for women. This is like breast tissue, but all along our neck, like our inner thyroids, our lymph nodes, like the most of our lymph nodes live up here in these areas, right? So thinking about deodorant specifically being the closest point to most of your lymph nodes in your body is just really important to think about. Not only that, just deodorant is something that we do every day. You know, it's like it is constantly on our bodies at all times, at all hours of the day. Sometimes it just doesn't even get washed off. So it is continually sinking into our bloodstream, absorbing through our skin, and specifically, right, in these like physical areas that are much more like sensitive and gentle and need to be thought of and well taken care of. Whatever is in the deodorant is really kind of sinking into your body and absorbing into your skin, and it's sitting there all day long. So I think it's one of the best places to start to really, when you're thinking about upgrading your products, right? Because there's so many points and so many things that are happening just by this one point of application on our body, which is why I think it's the best place to start. Most people, and I was one of them, when you think about a natural deodorant, you're like, well, that doesn't work, right? Like if you've maybe tried like a brand, or like me, I've tried probably 25 different brands of natural ones, hoping across, you try it and then you're like, this doesn't work, right? It's like, doesn't work. You're like sweating more than ever. And maybe you like, don't like the scent, or you don't like the smell, or it felt like it went on weird. Okay. All of that is normal. It's all really normal, but there are some things to know that I think might help this process a little bit, like go a little bit easier for you. It's important to understand the why too, or like what is in more conventional deodorants that can be a little bit more scary. The first thing to know, the thing that most people don't know about, is that most people wear an antiperspirant instead of an actual deodorant. Antiperspirants are made to actually physically block your sweat ducts so that your body stops producing sweat. So go take a look at what you're using right now, see if it says antiperspirant or deodorant, and just knowing that most people are used to using an antiperspirant, which is supposed to, there's chemicals in it, mostly aluminum, that actually clogs your pores on purpose, right, to prevent you from sweating. So most people think it's not normal to sweat, or that sweating is bad. However, sweat is the number one way our body naturally is detoxing and getting rid of all the toxins that are built up inside from food, from environmental stuff, from different chemicals. Like, our bodies are meant to sweat. We need to sweat. It's actually very healthy. But culturally, we have been trained to believe that it is bad, it is dirty, it is smelly. But it does not have to be any of those things. Sweat is just very normal. Antiperspirant is not an actual normal thing for your body to have, and can be pretty dangerous overall when you're thinking about this over time. If you're using an antiperspirant or a deodorant that has aluminum in it, that would be the first thing to think about, is switching to a non-aluminum based product so that your body can actually start releasing and detoxing all the stuff that it needs to get out. And you can kind of get used to the feeling of like, yes, you might be a little bit sweaty, but it shouldn't necessarily smell bad. Aluminum itself is just extra scary. So what it does is it goes into your pores and it blocks the pores and expands them, right? So that nothing can come out. But they have done so many research studies on women with breast cancer, and the tissue that has breast cancer has like a 65% of higher aluminum than anywhere else in the body. You know, it's like it's all right there. Second thing that may be in your deodorant that is worth looking at is phthalates and parabens. And most conventional deodorants definitely have these. These are chemicals that are used to make things feel smoother or to be emulsified or to give them fragrance, but they are actually hormone disruptors. So again, when we're talking about like our immune system, our lymph nodes, talking about like having healthy hormones, this is a really big thing. These two are like heavily connected. As you guys probably know, there are just like increased in a crazy amount rates of infertility, rates of hormone problems all across the board for men and for women. And a lot of what's happening is in our personal care industry with beauty products, with skincare, with body products, with the stuff we're using in our houses. A lot of those chemicals, the phthalates and the parabens and the fragrances, could just be really damaging and toxic to our hormone system, our endocrine system, and our immune system. So it's just good to know about, right? These are the things that we're never really taught. But then you start to see the connection points between the rates of disease, rates of cancer, rates of this, and you start to look and put together some of these things. And then it makes it a lot more motivating, right? To want to think about switching and to want to upgrade once you see these connection points. So this is why I think it's super important to think about upgrading this area, even if it's the first thing that you do and the only thing that you do to start. I think, like, let's talk about efficiency. It's probably the most efficient thing you could do that will have the most benefit for your body and your health long term. And also, even better news is that it doesn't have to be this big elaborate thing. It does not need to be super expensive. There are plenty of brands out there that have really inexpensive options that, again, are made with like natural ingredients that you can actually recognize and pronounce. Whatever way you go, I would just encourage you to find a brand that works for you. That's free of the aluminum, free of the chemicals, free of the phthalates. Ideally, it's something that you can recognize every single ingredient on that label, that it almost is something clean enough to eat. That's how I like to roll. My favorite, you guys know I've tried so many, but this is really what introduced me to Primarily Pure was their deodorant for this reason, and because it actually works. Like, it freaking works. None of them work, and this one does. Okay, so for those of you that have either tried to do natural deodorant in the past and it didn't work, or this is something that you do want to look to upgrade, I have a few tips that might help you in the process, because sometimes it's a little bit of a process to get your body used to using a natural product instead of being so used to the norm, which is an antiperspirant. So I have 5 tips for you that might help this process go a little bit smoother. One is, just like we talked about, changing your mentality from sweat being a bad thing to sweat being actually a very good, healthy, normal thing. We just don't want it to smell. Number 2, find a natural product that works for you. Ask your friends. You guys know I love Primarily Pure. I love their tea tree. I love their unscented, but pick whatever scent you're naturally drawn to at first. If that's more like a lemongrass or a lavender or a tea tree, just pick something that you feel like you're naturally drawn to. And second tip on that would be, make sure you can recognize the ingredients. Like, actually recognize the ingredients that you would maybe even eat those things, right? Tip number 3 is to give your body at least 2 to 3 weeks to adjust. This means like mentally adjust from just the feeling of even like sweat in your armpits. You're not going to be like used to that at first. But again, see this as a good thing. Imagine those toxins just like pouring out of you and they're just coming out. So on that note, there can be a little bit of like a detox phase. Like, think about that, of how many toxins and chemicals are probably stuck if you've been using an antiperspirant. So once those pores do actually open up, it probably will smell even more, and you probably feel like you are sweating even more than usual. But that just happens in the beginning, right? That's just like a big clearing out process. So just be patient with yourself. Don't make too quick of a judgment that this like isn't working for you. That's a very natural thing to happen. So just know it's really normal. On that note, there can be a little bit of like a detox phase. Like think about that, of how many toxins and chemicals are probably stuck if you've been using an antiperspirant. So once those pores do actually open up, it probably will smell. Or like you can do like a natural like mask or armpit detoxes if you want to help like speed up the process. But in general, just give yourself like 2 to 3 weeks without the pressure of this being perfect, or that it should like feel totally normal at first, because it maybe won't. But again, the benefits are so worth it. You just need to power through a little bit of this, like the awkward transition time, to get your body again to a place where it's like letting go of all the stuff it needs to, where you're sweating but not tons, and then it just doesn't smell. But it probably will smell a little bit in the beginning. Tip on that is that yes, this is kind of like a natural detox process. So obviously, the cleaner you eat, the more water you're drinking, the more hydrated you are, the less stuff your body has to detox in the first place. So even more motivation, right, to want to eat well, to want to eat really good clean food, to want to work out, to want to keep sweating and move this stuff out of your body, because that's like really what it's about overall. Like when you have sweat that is really stinky, it usually means that there's some other things that need to be upgraded in your life. So I like to see my sweat as a really good indicator of what's going on the inside, and can be a good reminder to me if it does start smelling. Then I'm like, what am I doing in those other areas? Am I drinking enough water? Am I sweating enough through exercise? Am I eating good, clean foods, or do I need a little bit of work? The only exception to that rule is just hormone changes that you kind of know or to expect. So like when I was pregnant, my sweat smelled different than when I was nursing, than when I was weaning, than when I get my period. You know, it's like there are different fluctuations hormonally that can change. And so that's just actually, I think it's a fun thing to notice and just start to connect these dots. Last tip, number 5, is to actually use a lot less than what you're probably used to. Like you're not going to go in there and be like, you know, like multiple times back and forth, or even applying it multiple times a day. You don't want to do that. Okay, I'm going to show you. Literally, I'm going to show you. Like, let's just put some deodorant on together. Okay, so this is a new one, right? So when you open it up, you would just kind of squirt up to the top. It always has this little plastic thing that you want to take off first. So we will just take this off gently. Then another like little tip is just to hold it on your body for like a couple seconds so that it warms up to your body temperature. And then you're just going to go like 1, 2, okay, maybe 3. That's it. That's it. Okay, same on the other. Ready? Hold it, warm it, love it. Things are getting weird here. Okay, and that's it. Literally. So if you put too much of it on, you may find that you get irritations at first. You may find like you feel like your clothes are staining or something. None of that is normal. I would just suggest do less, right? Do less. It's great. So also, I think one of the best things about this is that they literally last forever. Like think about that. You're just doing like 2 swipes in each armpit every day. This can last a really, really long time. So again, it's like a really small investment to make in your health, in your overall health, like for the rest of your life. And it just doesn't have to be that hard to do. But be patient with yourself. It can be a little bit of a switch mentally and physically at first, but it is definitely worth it. So I would encourage you all to do it. I will link to these below if you guys want to check out Primarily Pure. It's my favorite. Again, I've tried so many. And this is the one that works and it's not irritating and feels great and that I feel great about too. So I'll put that there. Always feel free to use the code Simply Real Health at checkout for anything that they have. So deodorant and everything else. I also have a full blog post on that if you want to know everything that I have and love from them. But deodorant was my first love and what truly introduced me to them in the first place. And I will be like just a lifetime lover. We'll preach it from the rooftops because this is such an important thing that we are not taught and educated about, but it has such a big impact on our health. And again, it's not that hard to make the switch. You guys can do it.